Cicero is often remembered as one of the most brilliant minds of the Roman Republic, a master of rhetoric, law, and philosophy. His speeches are still studied, and his writings on ethics and governance shaped Western thought for centuries. But while history has immortalized Cicero as a towering intellectual figure, how did the average Roman see him during his lifetime? Was Cicero viewed as a champion of republican values, or was he simply another wealthy politician out of touch with the struggles of the common people? Let's explore how the plebeians, soldiers, and veterans of Rome perceived Cicero, and how this view contrasted sharply with how the senatorial elite regarded him. Among Rome's senatorial elite and educated classes, Cicero was regarded as one of the Republic's greatest orators and thinkers. He was admired for his skill in navigating the courts, his eloquent speeches in the Senate, and his philosophical works that delved into ethics, law, and governance. Cicero's speeches, particularly during the Catiline conspiracy in 63 BCE, were considered masterpieces of oratory. The senatorial class admired his ability to expose the conspiracy and save the Republic from an internal threat. His famous line, "O tempora, o mores," "O the times, O the customs," became an iconic rallying cry against corruption and the erosion of traditional Roman values. Cicero's philosophical and legal writings made him a favorite among the intellectual elite. His works, such as De Officiis, on duties, and De Republica, on the Republic, explored the nature of justice, duty, and the role of the state. These texts were valued by those who saw themselves as guardians of Roman tradition, the Senate, and the rule of law. For the elite, Cicero was more than just a politician. He was a symbol of the Republic's highest intellectual ideals. But this glowing reputation among the aristocracy didn't necessarily resonate with the rest of Roman society. While Cicero was lauded by the aristocrats, the average Roman, including plebeians and soldiers, may have viewed him quite differently. Cicero's defense of the Republic and the Senate, which he saw as the cornerstone of Roman governance, often put him at odds with the interests of the common people. To the plebeians, the lower-class citizens of Rome, Cicero may have seemed like an elitist politician who prioritized the interests of the wealthy senatorial class over the needs of the people. Cicero, despite not coming from an old noble family, had fully embraced the worldview of the optimates, the conservative faction. He resisted populist measures that would have redistributed land or provided direct aid to the poor, seeing these policies as threats to the Republic's stability. Cicero's opposition to figures like Julius Caesar, who championed the populist cause, likely alienated him from many common Romans. Caesar's land reforms and support for veterans won him the loyalty of the army and the plebeians. Cicero, however, was seen as standing in the way of these reforms, choosing to defend the status quo instead. For many soldiers and veterans, Cicero's loyalty to the Senate may have made him appear as an enemy of their interests. Cicero's role in crushing the Catiline conspiracy in 63 BCE, where he exposed a plot to overthrow the government, earned him admiration from the elite. But to some plebeians, his actions may have seemed heavy-handed. Cicero ordered the execution of the conspirators without a trial, a decision that went against Roman law. While Cicero framed this as a necessary measure to protect the Republic, some may have seen it as an abuse of power by an out-of-touch aristocrat. Cicero's relationship with the Roman army and veterans was complicated. As a defender of the Senate and the Republic, Cicero valued the traditions that kept the aristocratic order intact. But as veterans of Caesar's campaigns returned to Rome expecting land and pensions, Cicero's resistance to these demands may have further damaged his reputation among the military class. After Julius Caesar's conquests, many soldiers returned expecting the land they were promised. Cicero's opposition to populist land redistribution made him a target of resentment, While Caesar had built his power on the loyalty of the army, Cicero's alignment with the Senate put him at odds with this growing force in Roman politics. Cicero's intellectual and legal approach to governance didn't resonate with the practical concerns of soldiers who had risked their lives in Caesar's campaigns. Cicero's focus on republican ideals, rather than tangible rewards for the military, may have made him seem irrelevant or even antagonistic to the needs of these men. Cicero's divided reputation reveals much about the tensions within Roman society. The senatorial elite saw him as a hero, a man who stood for the Republic's traditional values and kept the power of the Senate intact. But for many average Romans, Cicero was likely seen as another privileged politician who cared more about the interests of the aristocracy than the needs of the people. Cicero's loyalty to the Senate made him a champion among the aristocrats and those who saw the Republic as a bulwark against tyranny. His intellectual contributions and oratory skills were revered by this class, which viewed him as one of the last true defenders of republican ideals. For the plebeians and soldiers, Cicero may have appeared as a man fighting for a system that had little relevance to their daily struggles. His opposition to land reforms, veterans' benefits, and populist leaders made him an unpopular figure among those who looked to men like Caesar and Mark Antony as protectors of their interests. The complex view of Cicero during his lifetime reflects the larger social and political divisions in Rome. To the Senate and intellectuals, he was a symbol of the Republic's glory, a defender of liberty, law, and tradition. To many plebeians and soldiers, however, Cicero likely represented an old order that failed to address their needs and an elite who resisted change. Cicero's divided reputation highlights the tensions between the aristocracy and the people in the late Roman Republic. His brilliant speeches and philosophical works made him a legend among the educated classes, but his political decisions alienated large segments of Roman society. Cicero may have been a hero of the Republic in the eyes of the elite, but for many average Romans, his unwillingness to embrace reform and his opposition to populist leaders may have cast him in a much less favorable light. He was at once a brilliant intellectual and an out-of-touch politician, a man whose legacy depends on whose perspective you take. Cicero's legacy is a testament to how differently historical figures can be viewed by various social classes. To the educated elite, he was a master orator and the last true defender of the Roman Republic. But to the common people, plebeians, soldiers, and veterans, he may have been seen as just another aristocrat who was more concerned with protecting his own interests and the privileges of the Senate than with addressing the needs of Rome's broader population. In the end, Cicero's story is not just about one man's struggle to save the Republic. It's about the divide between the ruling class and the people they claimed to serve, a divide that shaped how Cicero was seen, both in his time and in history. If you found this exploration of Cicero's legacy intriguing, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more fascinating insights from history, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us as we delve deeper into the lives of iconic figures and the lessons they can teach us about society, politics, and the human experience.